yet another fatal shooting. I've spent the last several days meeting and talking and listening to members of the community, and we are a community in crisis, and this violence has to stop. Earlier today, I met with the family of Stanley Freeman Jr. and listened to their grief, shared their stories of this young man who was doing everything right. And I share their grief, and this grief is affecting our whole city. And I'm glad that to have you all here today to hear about our plans and to hear about what is happening as we tackle this surge in violence in our community. I've also been meeting and talking and listening with youth service organizations, and that will continue. I also want to say that we have had some developments overnight in some of our investigations, and I'm going to turn it over to Chief Thomas to share some of the updates on that front. Chief Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor Kincannon. Today I wanted to provide the updates that we have on the most recent cases. First of all, a suspect has been identified, arrested, and charged in the shooting that occurred yesterday afternoon on North Central Street near Atlantic Avenue. Our victim there is in extremely serious condition at this point. Through extended investigation following the shooting and substantial witness information, 30-year-old Paul Futner of Knoxville, Tennessee, has been arrested and charged. Our communications manager, Scott Erlin, should have a press conference or a press release with additional details regarding that arrest, coming to you shortly. We are very grateful for the assistance of numerous witnesses, which played a pivotal role in the quick resolution of that case. Regarding the cases involving the 16-year-old and 15-year-old Austin East students, investigators are continuing to make progress on those investigations. Unfortunately, we are not yet at a point where we can make any new public announcements, but we do feel like we are making significant progress in those cases. A frequent question that we have received is if the two cases are connected in any way. I can tell you that at this point in those investigations, our detectives have not found any evidence to suggest that there is any correlation between those two cases. I would also like to mention that last night, in our continued efforts to address violent crimes, officers conducted a felony traffic stop near Magnolia and Beeman. There were two occupants in that vehicle, where officers located a handgun, narcotics, and a denomination of U.S. currency consistent with the sale of narcotics. One of the subjects had an outstanding warrant for a parole violation. In addition to the warrant arrest, that individual was charged for prohibited handgun possession, while the other subject in the vehicle was charged with sale and delivery of a controlled substance. I know that there is great concern in the community of increasing our police presence where all this violent crime is occurring in these hotspots. But I just wanted to highlight this arrest because this is the type of thing that our increased presence hopes to accomplish, is taking these type of individuals who are preying on those communities off the streets and arresting them. Again, this is just one example of the great proactive work that we've been doing and are continuing to do in response to violent crime. And that's all I have for right now as far as updates.
All right, Chief and Mayor, thank you so very much. Again, members of the media, please submit your questions in the chat feature, and the Chief and the Mayor will begin taking those. The news release that the Chief just referenced, I believe should be hitting your inboxes any moment now. It just went out as well with more details on that arrest. All right, Jordan Brown from WATE asks, Chief, this would be for you. Can you say if any of the recent shootings are gang related? Chief, you're muted.
We are exploring that assertion until we can positively identify our suspects. I can't say for sure. And again, if we really need the community's help in this area, any tips that they can provide would help us to identify those folks as well.
right, Chief, thank you. Scott Barker from the Compass asks, what was the probable cause for the felony traffic stop that you just discussed?
It was a traffic violation, and I apologize, I'm not sure exactly which one, but it was based upon a traffic violation.
All right, Katie Inman from WBIR has a question for Chief Thomas. Could you talk about the item added to the City Council agenda for Tuesday, giving clearance to apply for a 2021 Burn Criminal Justice Innovation Grant Program?
So yes, that will come up on Tuesday's agenda. I'll give you just a couple of items. As you may or may not know, anytime that we at the police department apply for any grant, we have to present that to council for approval to apply first. So, that doesn't mean we have the grant. We have not even applied yet, but it is a grant to assist in identifying, okay, I'm going to just actually read this. It's designed with priorities focused on reducing serious and violent crime, including gun violence, dismantling gang activity, and strengthening the local capacity to combat drug abuse. So we feel like that would help us to enhance our efforts in partnering with the community to combat crime and focus on gang violence and as well as gang education to our community, our schools, our children's services providers, and several other things, maybe such as cameras that we would look for to purchase with the funds from this grant. Again, we don't have this grant. This is just allowing us the option to apply for the grant. I believe it's October 1st that it would be awarded if we do receive that funding.
All right, Chief, thank you for that explanation. And just for clarification, because I had received some questions, this is different. The grant is different than the $1 million budget amendment that Mayor Kincannon mentioned yesterday.
Yes.
It is different. We just want to make sure we make that clarification. Sam Luther wants to know from WVLT, is there any way to quantify how many more traffic stops that you have made since the first Austin East shooting on Friday?
We could probably provide that. Traffic stops would be hard. I think we could provide the number of the number of citations and warnings, and as well as field interviews. So every traffic stop theoretically should have that. So yes, we can look at that and work on providing that to you.
All right, Katie Inman from WBIR wants to know, have any witnesses come forward in the AE shootings yet?
No, they have not. And we plead for those folks, anybody who witnessed this or has any information, to please come forward. And if you want to do that anonymously, we will accept any anonymous tip at our crime and drug hotline or our violent crimes email. But we'll meet you wherever you are to be able to get that information.
The next question is for the mayor. Scott Barker from Compass wants to know, Mayor, in addition to the burn grant, you have asked for an additional $1 million to address violence. Can you share any details about that initiative?
Yeah, Scott, we're working on developing more details to share with council next week. One place that we've been working with very closely and that we plan to continue working with is Cities United. And so you can look on their website and see some of the strategies that we're hoping to deploy here in Knoxville that have been successful in other cities. Some are hospital-based, some are community-based. There's some, but the main thing is that they work, they're effective, and they help stop the violence. So we'll share more details. I'm not prepared to get into more details right now, but more to come soon.
All right, our next question, this is Travis Dorman from Knox News Sentinel. Mayor, just asking for clarification to your statements when we first opened up. He writes, you said we had yet another fatal shooting. Do you want to clarify that? Is there another shooting? Yeah,
that's my mistake. I've been getting a lot of information and updates, and I had mistakenly thought that the victim in that had died, and I was wrong. So that has not been another fatal shooting, just another shooting. That's right, Chief Thomas, correct? Okay.
Yes, that's correct. And part of that is my fault because initially we had some false information. That victim is in extremely serious condition, critical condition right now.
So, okay.
All right, thank you. Jordan Brown from WATE wants to ask, Chief, was there a motive that we know of in the North Central Avenue shooting?
At this time, it appears that there are elements of road rage to that shooting. We have not clarified that to be positive yet, but there do appear to be elements of road rage at this time.
Mayor Sam Luther from WVLT asks, after speaking with the families of victims, what is their biggest request? Is it funding, police presence, or something else?
Well, it was a really good meeting. They're very upset and in grief and traumatized, but their main discussion and what we talked about was their son and grandson, and also that this is a problem that the adults in this community have to solve. We can't put the burden on the children. It's our jobs as community leaders, as members of the media, as members of city government, KPD, faith-based, other community. We have to stop the violence to protect our kids. We can't leave it up to them. We need to make them, they're scared. And that was the main message, is let's step in as adults and restore the peace of the city of Knoxville.
Alrighty, our next question is from Scott Barker at The Compass. Did anyone from Knox County Schools or Austin East High School request more SROs after the January 27th shooting, but before the two most recent killings? If so, what was that response?
There was a meeting that was held with some leadership from our department in the schools. I believe it was on February 1st. And I don't have the exact details, but for the most part, there was some gang training that they requested, as well as more patrol around the school, which we did work on more patrol around the school. As far as SROs, I don't believe so.
All right, are there any more questions? We'll give everyone just another second. I don't see any other questions. Is anyone typing out there? All right, that looks like that's going to do it. Chief and Mayor, oh wait a minute. Scott Barker just said, when will the additional SROs be added? Chief, you're still muted.
I know that they're on virtual the rest of this week, Chief Thomas.
Yes, yeah, they are on virtual, but I believe we've got them around the school and just trying to get used to the area around the school.
Already, like they've already started, in other words.
Yes, okay. That's my understanding.
Alrighty, Sam Luther from WVLT. Do you feel there is an immediate risk to students in the Austin East area? Chief.
I certainly hope not, and we're going to do everything we can to take that risk away and make that community safe. We need the public's help to do that. We're going to increase our SROs. We are increasing our patrol presence, and we are trying to work with the community to increase community meetings and communication. So our efforts are to make sure that there is not a risk to students.
I would just reiterate that the school is a safe haven. The kids are being well taken care of inside the school, and we are working to make sure they're safe as they come and go from school, and just in general, just live their lives in safety and peace.
Alrighty, I think that's going to do it. Thank you all for joining us. We will continue to provide updates. And again, that news release should be in your inboxes at your media outlets. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Scott Erland or myself. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.